Welcome back, everyone. We are here with something new, something different. The regionals, well, I should say the season is about to end at the time of recording this video. We have maybe 2 more regionals left. It's why you haven't seen me do a regional breakdown of last week's, because for most people, the regional results don't matter. There's nothing else to grind for outside of the upcoming Worlds, and Worlds is going to be a very different format. For those who aren't aware, Worlds is a 3v3 format where your playsets spread across all 3 decks. So if you have one player with 4 creative shocks, the other 2 players cannot use any creative shocks. The same that goes for your spirits. It goes for your pretty much your whole lineup. Anything that you have a playset of, you won't be able to use it otherwise. So we decided to do something different. With the 3v3 event coming on, I decided to throw a couple different brews together. It is completely untested. Just something I threw together. Might have to tweak some numbers. But to get people prepped for 3v3, I decided to throw some deck lists together. We're going to go throughout the upcoming weeks, discussing the different decks I threw together, what you might be seeing them in the lineup wise, and what the deck's going to cost you, as well of sort of the play style behind them. But with that being said, we're going to go ahead and get right into it with the very first list being Spirit of Serene Water Arisanna. Now, I know, people might be saying, but you said Arisanna is bad. Arisanna is bad. Yes, Arisanna is probably bad. But this is 3v3 events are the type of things where you test out new stuff. You don't have a sideboard. It's a 50-minute round. You have people to talk to. Your opponent's deck restricted as well because they won't be able to have the full amount of cards at their disposal, especially if they're running, say, Spirit of Stream Water and then Spirit of Water. They're now spreading water cards out across 2 decks. So it's something to keep in mind. Line of some people vary, your mileage might vary with these lists. But first list we'll get into, like I said, is Spirit of Stream Water Arisanna. We're going into the Arisanna Astro Zenith to go ahead and get the free star calling cost. And looking lineup, we have the Azure Protective Trinket. This leaves you open for your other people to run Nullifying Lantern if they want to. It's a way to deal with if you're facing an erupting opponent across the board, or Fire Lorraine, or something that really wants to use fire cards in the graveyard. You have Ingredient Pounds to get your brews in. Just don't get your brews, get your herbs. Get your herbs in. You have Necklace of Foresight, go to get the Glimpse. You have Orb of Glitter as well, that goes to let you glimpse at the beginning of Recollection phase, and then you can banish to draw a card if you need to. We're not running GCR or Grail. We're going to give you after outdoor decks because, like I said, you're probably not the best deck in your lineup if you're running this. But you can run the Temporal Spectrometer. This will let you go ahead and put your time counters on there. Get your time counters. You can go ahead and use stuff like Scepter. You can get stuff like Cosmic Astrolabe. Save 2 for later on for the Elysian Astrolabe. Do note you still need to go ahead and have this be your last card materialize if you're going to utilize a Showing Astrolabe. It does not let you cheat it out or any form, shape, or way. But you can go ahead and use it with that. You can go ahead and use it for leveling up if you don't want to get cards out of your hand or out of your memory. So this is sort of a alternate sort of card you can use at this point because it is going to be one of the 3 divine relics that are available. And like I said, your teammates are probably playing the other 2. Going to the main deck. Because Arisanna really wants to glimpse, we're going to run 3 Fractal Insights. Fractal Insight is going to be ran in this case, or Fractal Insight is going to be used for pretty much the on-enter glimpse 2. Then later on, you can also use it for the go ahead and reserve cost. 2 Harvest Herbs. I'm not too heavy into this because of the fact you're trying to level up. It's Floating Memory, get you another herb token. So you're going to get the herbs if you need to, but it's not something too into it. This one could be up to debate. I like it. If your teammates aren't running it for some reason, if the list don't fit for them, I'm running 2 Morgans. This leaves 2 open for your teammates. If there's a list that also wants Morgan still got to be ran, you're going to use all versions of this card for its full utilization. You get the level 1 prevent all non-attack damage dealt to it. You get the level 2 opponents can't recover if you're facing Luxum. Then you have the class bonus at the beginning of Recollection. You can go ahead and glimpse if you want. As well, if you don't, you can recover 1. So you do have that option to go ahead and get your glimpses in to get your Arisanna triggers if that is possible. Main name of the game though this deck is Fog. You want to try and hit the level 3 Arisanna, then you want to Comet Fall and Cosmic Bolt your way into victory. With that, we have 2 Resolute Stands, good for the Allies deck, good overall card. We're running 2, give 2 to a couple other decks if you need to, because you have some other ways to deal with the attackers without just using Resolute Stand. 3 Scry Disguise, so with this lineup, you won't want to run probably Luxum next to you or in your team because Luxum also wants to Scry Disguise. They're probably better with it than you are, but Scry Disguise is in here because you're going to want to pair it with Scry the Stars or go ahead and just get the Glimpse triggers off of the Arisanna. We have the 3 Vanish Sights because of the fact that we're going to go ahead and play Fog. Vanish Sight's a really good card, it gives you stealth. It's a lot harder for most of these decks without a sideboard to deal with you being stealth. So you're going to get some cards on the memory, stealth if you need to, and then it's sort of just a little buy you an extra turn. Conjure Downpour, so this is a card that's running against me in the Yeti Online regional. This card's pretty good. It's a 3 cost, put 3 down. You can do it at fast speed, beginning of your opponent's Recollection. It says any turn whenever a unit attacks. So it does not target unit. It's across the board. Whenever a unit attacks, that attack gets -2 damage. So it's good versus board of 2/3s that we're dealing with lately. It prevents all those swings coming in. You go ahead and install the for an extra turn. And if you're lucky and you had 4 cards down in your memory from something else, say if you ingredient pounce during your turn, then you're going to conjure downpour, you can then get to draw a card into your memory. And we have 3 cards of Trappers, self-explanatory. Because Trapper is a really good card. It's a 1/3 that goes and gives pretty much target unit a -3 attack, so a good way to stall out. It could probably be cut if you want to tweak numbers a little bit. I like it so far. Again, this is like a couple of iterations in at this point, not fully tested, so some of these numbers might vary in your mileage. Like I said, may vary again. 2 Fractal Intrusions. So if you get paired up against Luxum, get paired up against Erupting across from you, you have a way to go ahead and get cards out of their memory. You have a couple different cards that have floating memory in here. They're going to get rid of the floating memory and then banish the card, or I should say, sorry, discard the card from their memory, and then you get their reserve cost as well. 3 Fracturize. Fracturize is a very good card. Good for dealing with scepters, a couple different things your opponent might be dealing with. So Fracturize as a whole is overall pretty well utilized. 3 Freezing Hail. Self-explanatory again. Go ahead and deal 2 to keep a unit tapped. If your opponent's playing something like Fire Lorraine, they get a big swing in. You can Freezing Hail it, buy yourself an extra turn, so Lorraine can't get a Fire Momentum or a Rending Flame in on the following turn. You can do it to a pretty big unit. So there's a couple ways your Freezing will come in. And it's an extra 2 damage to target champion or unit if you needed to go ahead and clear the board. For Frostbinds, I mean, counter spells are good. I'm going to say. Frostbinds Valorant, probably one of the best water units in the game. You have enough floating memory here, go ahead and make it a 3/4. Intercept to buy yourself some extra turns because it's a pretty hefty body at that point. And you go ahead and get the draw if you want to. Then going on to Lunette's another good card. Lunette can come in. A little iffy to get balance in some of these hands at times, but it does come in, keeps your opponent's allies rested. And goods buys you extra turns as well, because the fact your opponent can attack with the turn those allies come in gives you maybe an opportunity to clear up their allies on your following turn because they're attacked and they cannot retaliate. 2 Song of Frost, go to end the combat phase. You're facing them like Diana or Fire Lorraine, something that goes and gets those big swings in. You have a Song of Frost to go ahead and end the combat phase right then and there. You don't have to worry about taking that big amount of damage or getting a whole bunch of exercise curse, should say creeping torments, not exercise curse counters on your champion lineage. So it's a good card to have. Stream of Consciousness, this card could probably be tweaked if you want it in here or don't want it in here. It's a card that pretty much says pay 2, draw a card in the memory. And if you have a memory +4, you go ahead and glimpse 3. So it has some upside. It pretty much replaces itself into your memory, though. So it does replace itself to do an end of turn, but then you also get the Glimpse 3 mechanic if you want to set up for your future turns. Glimpsing is a very powerful mechanic in the game, allowing you to set up your extra turns if you need to, especially with Arisanna. You're going to get your pretty much your star calling triggers and go ahead and use those spells if you need to. Going to the Astro package, we're running 2 Astarte. Usually this card's sideboard because of the fact this is a best of 1 format and there is no sideboard, and there is a slight change to my face something like Merlin or say like Insol for some reason. Astarte can going to come in, you're going to use it as fast activation if you go ahead and use your level 3, and then you can banish the card face down instead off of the stack. You don't have to worry about, say, Majestic Spirit hitting the board, because this is the weak side of water as a whole. There's no good way for you to deal with the deer. If deer resolves, it's pretty much a game over at that point, unless you have a good way to go ahead and clear the board with like multiple Comet Falls or something of the sort. Then you go ahead and have your 1 Astrocyte. This was a 3 originally, but then I decided to throw in 2 Stratus cards. Astrocyte's a good card. A Glimpse, choose 1, draw a card, and you can start calling. So pretty much not a bad card to have a roll, let you filter through your hand. It can probably be tweaked a little bit, but again, it's really tight when you start coming down to 60 cards, and it's a best of 1 format. So these numbers are going to be mileage may vary. 2 Astro Seals. Astro Seal is a really good counter spell. It just flat out negates a spell. Good if you're facing Incarnate Magistrate or something like that. So you go ahead and banish. And then if you do something like Incarnate Magistrate banish with Astro Seal, then you can go ahead and then pretty much use Astro Seal for free because they already have a banish one. Class bonus effect. It costs 3 less to activate if the card you're trying to negate is already in the banish zone. It pretty much is a free counter spell. Really good to have in here. Then your damage package as a whole, you're running 4 Comet Fall, 4 Cosmic Bolt, pretty much going to get all your main damage and this entire package as a whole. Comet Fall goes ahead and deals 4 to all those units that are non-Astra. And you have Cosmo that pretty much stacks damage as well as you have them in your graveyard or your banish zone. Then to round it off, like we talked about, you do have the 2 Stratus Stars to go ahead and get the extra turn where you go ahead and unturn Glimpse. When you look at the card, Glimpsing start calling X, where X equals to the card's reserve cost, and Glimpse 3. If you somehow manage to get it off, you get the Wombo combo with the Astrolabe, then go infinite looping. Well, that's sort of a quick breakdown of the deck. Now, the question is, what do you want to pair it with? You can pair it with something like maybe Fire Eye. You're maybe fighting over Scry the Skies. Your Resistance Advantage sites are probably not too much. Your Fire deck are probably going to be maybe Erupting. You could do a Fire Lorraine list. You could do a Fire Merlin list in that card. You can also do a Fire Xander list. You can do maybe a Fire Domain Tony. Pretty much those last 4 decks don't have too much you're going to go ahead and contest cards with. You can do a Luxum Xander. The problem is with Luxum Xander, you're going to be go ahead and contesting the Scry Disguise, which is what Luxum Xander really likes to do. It gets those cards into their memory, and then they can go ahead and get more Lightweight Assault triggers or Luxum Sight triggers. So you can pair it together. You might argue a little bit about cards a little bit, but it is doable with your partner's seat. And if you go ahead and try and look at the other decks you can use, full-on win decks, there's nothing that worries about running Scry Disguise or Vantage Sights or Resolute Stands. Maybe a couple want to run a Morgan, not Morgana. Very long time playing League of Legends and Legend of Runeterra. But not too much want to worry about that because you're going to either run allies, you're going to have Crux, you're going to have maybe a Tony, maybe a Wind Arisanna on the other end. Granted, you can't because you're running this water one. There's not too many lists that really are going to compete with cards you in Wind as a whole because if they want to run Scry Disguise, just tell them to run Fairy Whispers. Tell them, no, run Fairy Whispers. I get the Scry Disguise. You get Fairy Whispers. That's how you're pretty much going to want to do it. But there's a couple lists I can run with it. Again, this is probably not the best list. It's something you can mess with. Bring to your locals really want it if you're running a best of one format. By all means, throw it out there. Let me know how this deck does. It's very unique, very different. But with that being said, I'd like to thank you guys for watching, taking the time. Like I said, we're going to be coming out with a couple different of these good decks, bad decks throughout the way, through leading up into the World's 3v3 event, because we have no regional. So this is how we're going to fill the time. If you see anything else that you guys want to have comments on or anything you want me to do for different videos coming up to it, feel free to hit the comment section below, like and subscribe, the usual. At the time of recording this video, we have finally broke, though, 100 subscribers. So, with the 100 subscribers, we are going to go ahead and give away. I'm going to go ahead and look away real quick. Find it. A Merlin deck box. I do have a sealed one of these Merlin deck boxes. They are pretty much, I said I'll give one away at 100 subscribers. We have hit that. So with that being said, make sure you go ahead and the video is in the description of the where you're going to go ahead and put your comment in. If you're not subscribed, subscribers only are going to be qualified for this giveaway. So make sure you're subscribed when you comment on that video, and then the winners will be selected, and I will reach out to them to pretty much get their mailing information, and I'll let them know. But like I said, with that being said, guys, thank you for joining. Thank you for sticking with this very different type of video. I know it's going to be a little bit shorter than usual, but a lot of these decks are going to be a little short because there's no best of 3 format. It's only best of 1. And I hope you guys have a good one, and I'll talk to you later. Peace.